What if I told you that millions of American seniors could wake up tomorrow to find an extra $600 in their Social Security check, and that the president just fired a Federal Reserve governor over alleged fraud? This isn't some future proposal or campaign promise. This is happening right now, and it's about to reshape the entire American economy. In the next 10 minutes, you'll discover how Trump's massive Social Security overhaul could put thousands of extra dollars in seniors' pockets, why he's completely reshaping the Federal Reserve, and what this financial earthquake means for every American's future. We're talking about the most significant changes to Social Security in decades, combined with a power play at the Fed that could change how money works in America forever. Welcome back to Financial Area, where we break down the money moves that matter most to your wallet. If you want to stay ahead of the financial curve, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe with notifications on, because what happens next could change everything. Let's start with the numbers that have Washington in complete chaos. Trump has just introduced what's being called the Social Security Expansion Act, and at its heart is a promise that's impossible to ignore: a $600 monthly increase for struggling seniors. Now, this isn't going to everyone. It's specifically targeted at lower-income seniors whose total income falls below 125% of the federal poverty line. Here's what this looks like in real dollars. Take a senior currently scraping by on $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year, barely enough to survive in today's economy. Under Trump's plan, that same person would see their monthly check jump to $1,600. That's nearly $20,000 a year. We're not talking about pocket change here. This is rent money, grocery money, prescription drug money, and most importantly, dignity money. But here's where it gets really interesting. This $600 boost is directly tied to the federal poverty line, which means it automatically adjusts with inflation. Critics are calling this the ratchet effect. Once benefits go up, they never come back down. Every time the government raises the poverty line to account for inflation, Social Security benefits would automatically increase to match. Supporters say this is the only way to ensure seniors aren't left behind as costs rise. Opponents warn it could lock Social Security into runaway growth that the system simply can't afford. And that's not all. Every single Social Security and disability recipient, regardless of income, would receive an additional $200 a month under this plan. That's $2,400 a year for everyone collecting benefits. For a typical senior receiving $1,800 a month, this would boost their annual income by nearly $3,000. When you combine both increases, some seniors could see their monthly checks grow by $800 or more. This comes at a perfect time because the current cost of living adjustment system is completely broken. Right now, Social Security's annual raises are based on the spending patterns of urban wage earners and clerical workers. That means the formula tracks the price of things like televisions and gadgets, not the healthcare, housing, and prescription drugs that actually make up the bulk of seniors' expenses. Here's how broken the current system is. For 2026, the projected cost of living adjustment is just 2.7%, while Medicare Part B premiums are set to jump 11%. Do the math. Any increase in Social Security benefits gets completely swallowed up by rising healthcare costs, leaving seniors worse off than before. Trump's plan would scrap this outdated formula entirely and tie cost of living adjustments to something called the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. This index actually reflects what seniors spend their money on: healthcare, housing, prescription drugs, and other essentials. It's a change that advocates have been demanding for years, but it also means Social Security obligations could grow much faster than they do today. Now, here's the question everyone's asking. How do you pay for all of this? The Social Security Trust Fund is already facing a crisis. Without any changes, it's projected to run dry by 2032, just 8 years from now. When that happens, every single Social Security recipient would face an automatic 25% cut in benefits. Trump's expansion would make this crisis even more urgent, but his administration has a controversial solution.
The plan centers around something called lifting the payroll tax cap. Here's how it works today. Whether you make $50,000 a year or $50 million a year, you only pay Social Security taxes on the first $176,000 of your income. That means a CEO making $40 million pays exactly the same Social Security tax as a middle manager making $176,000. Under Trump's plan, anyone earning more than $250,000 would pay Social Security taxes on every dollar they make above that threshold. This single change could theoretically keep Social Security solvent for 75 years, a lifetime for today's retirees and their children. but critics argue it's essentially punishing success and could drive high earners to find ways to shield their income or even leave the country entirely. They worry about capital flight, where wealthy individuals move their money offshore to avoid higher taxes. The political battle lines are already drawn. Supporters see this as finally making the wealthy pay their fair share into a system that protects all Americans. They point out that someone making $40 million a year can afford to pay Social Security taxes on all their income, not just a tiny fraction of it. Critics argue that this creates a dangerous precedent of using Social Security as a tool for wealth redistribution rather than retirement security. But the Social Security changes are just one part of a much bigger financial revolution happening in Washington. At the same time Trump is promising bigger checks to seniors, he's completely reshaping the Federal Reserve in ways that could affect every dollar in the American economy. The shockwave started when Trump fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook over allegations of mortgage fraud. Cook hasn't denied these charges and has hired Hunter Biden's former attorney to represent her, a detail that's only fueled more speculation and controversy. This wasn't just a personnel change, it was a declaration of war against the Federal Reserve establishment. By removing Cook, Trump has opened the door to reshape the entire Federal Reserve Board of Governors. With several seats potentially available, Trump could soon have majority control over the direction of U.S. monetary policy for the first time in decades. Names like Michelle Bowman and Christopher Waller are already being floated as replacements, and sources say interviews for a new Fed chair will begin right after Labor Day. This matters because the Federal Reserve controls interest rates, inflation policy, and banking regulations. Basically, they control the flow of money in America. Trump's team argues that the Fed has completely lost its way under Chairman Jerome Powell. They point to the Fed's expansion into climate change rules, diversity mandates, and what they claim were politically motivated rate cuts designed to help the previous administration. Trump's vision is to restore the Fed to what he calls its core mission: sound money, monetary discipline, and strong financial regulation without political interference. But critics warn that Trump's shakeup could turn the Fed into a tool for his America First agenda, potentially undermining the institution's independence and destabilizing the entire economy. Here's why this matters to your wallet. If Trump gains control of the Fed, we could see dramatic changes in interest rates, banking rules, and how money flows through the economy. This could affect everything from your mortgage rate to your savings account to the stock market. The Fed has traditionally operated independently from political pressure, but Trump is challenging that entire framework. What we're witnessing isn't just about bigger Social Security checks or a single fired Fed governor. This is a complete financial revolution, with Social Security expansion on one side and Federal Reserve reform on the other, with Trump orchestrating both simultaneously. On the Social Security front, Trump is putting real cash in the hands of struggling seniors, potentially lifting millions out of poverty and rewriting the rules so benefits finally reflect the reality of senior expenses. The $600 monthly boost alone could transform the lives of the most vulnerable retirees, while the across-the-board $200 increase provides meaningful relief to every beneficiary. On the Federal Reserve front, he's demanding accountability from an institution that many Americans see as unaccountable and out of touch.
By firing Lisa Cook and preparing to reshape the entire Board of Governors, Trump is sending a clear message that the days of Fed independence from oversight may be coming to an end. The stakes couldn't be higher because these changes will affect every American, whether you're currently receiving Social Security, paying into the system, or planning for retirement decades from now. If the expansion works, it could provide genuine security for America's seniors while demonstrating that the system can adapt to changing needs. If it fails, it could accelerate Social Security's collapse and force even more painful cuts in the future. The Federal Reserve changes are equally consequential. If Trump succeeds in refocusing the Fed on its core mission, it could restore trust in America's monetary system and improve economic stability. If the reforms go too far, it could politicize an institution that needs to operate above partisan battles to maintain credibility in global markets. For seniors and current Social Security recipients, these changes could mean significantly more money every month, potentially enough to lift you out of poverty and provide real financial security. But there's also the risk that expanding benefits too quickly could push the system toward insolvency faster than expected. For working Americans, lifting the payroll tax cap could mean higher taxes if you earn more than $250,000, but it could also ensure that Social Security will be there when you retire. The question is whether the economic benefits of a solvent Social Security system outweigh the potential costs of higher taxes on success.
For the broader economy, a reformed Federal Reserve could mean more predictable monetary policy focused on core economic indicators rather than political and social goals. But it could also introduce new uncertainties if markets lose confidence in the Fed's independence. As we watch this financial revolution unfold, the fundamental questions remain unanswered. Is Trump's $600 monthly boost the lifeline millions of seniors have been waiting for, or a dangerous expansion that could bankrupt the system? Will lifting the payroll tax cap ensure Social Security's survival, or drive away the high earners whose taxes fund the government? Can reshaping the Federal Reserve restore accountability and focus, or will it undermine the institution's credibility when America needs stable monetary policy most? These aren't just policy debates happening in Washington. These are decisions that will determine whether you can retire with dignity, whether Social Security will exist for your children, and whether America's financial system can weather the challenges ahead. What's certain is that Trump has fundamentally changed the conversation around both Social Security and the Federal Reserve. Whether you see these moves as bold leadership or reckless gambling, the checks are real, the changes are happening, and the consequences will be felt for generations. The money war between Social Security expansion and Federal Reserve reform is just beginning, and every American has a stake in how it ends. Where do you stand on Trump's financial revolution? Are these the changes America needs, or are we heading into dangerous, uncharted territory? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And here's what nobody's talking about yet. This Social Security and Fed shakeup is just the beginning of Trump's financial revolution. The next move could affect every dollar in your bank account, and we'll be covering it right here on Financial Area. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss what happens next, because in this new financial landscape, being informed isn't just smart, it's essential for protecting your future.